All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Faces of Business. I'm your host, Damon Pistolka, and with me today, I've got Stephen Liu. Thanks so much for being here, Stephen.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's cool. I've been looking forward to this a long time. You know, we met, I think it was probably over a year ago now when we were on a networking call with some other live streamers. And this was before you had already been doing a lot of live streams before I had done any. So I think it was quite a while, and I'd watched your stuff, and it's great to get you on.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is fun because we're going to talk today about introverts finding their voice. And I think it's really nice to be able to talk about that because there's a lot of people that look at video and live streaming and go, "Wow, I can't do that. I'm not an extrovert and I don't like to get in front of a camera." Blah blah blah, and there's a lot of reasons not to do it. I don't like what I look like. I mean, that's what a lot of us, whatever it is, there's all kinds of reasons that people tell themselves they shouldn't do it. But it's cool to see you've done it. We'll talk about your videos. You got over 150 videos. You're helping people. Not only you've got a full-time job, which we'll talk about that because you got a cool full-time job. And then we'll try to talk about your work as a public speaker, career coach, video teacher, that kind of stuff too. So let's start out, man. You are a smart dude. You got a degree in computer engineering. What the
Yep.
heck? That's cool, man. That's cool. So what really got you into computer engineering? Because that's not one that people would pick right off the bat.
Yeah, good question. You're making me think all the way back here. But
Yeah.
when I was in high school, I knew I wanted to get into some sort of engineering, because I like being hands-on, like building things and taking things apart, figuring out how things work, things like that.
Yeah.
But like the specific of why computer engineering, I think it's just because of where I was. So I've been in the Silicon Valley my whole life, grew up here, went to school here, and I said, well, I'm in the middle of Silicon Valley, might as well learn computer engineering. So went into college, didn't have any programming experience, which really was a challenge because the students who did that in high school and
Yeah.
the STEM education with coding and programming isn't as prevalent back then as it was today, where now you have like elementary school kids coding.
Yeah.
But that's what I did, and I studied computer engineering. What I really liked about computer engineering is it's a combination of hardware and software,
Yeah.
and those were the projects I really enjoyed the most. For example, one of the classes in my embedded systems class, I worked in a team, and we had two RC cars that were store bought, and then we took
Yeah.
them apart. We added our own motors, we added our own sensors, we added wireless communication devices, things like that, and we wrote code for it. And the idea was we can drive one car anywhere, and then the second car can follow it on its own while avoiding obstacles. So just kind of that combination of hardware as well as writing code for it, and then seeing things move, seeing things take action. That was the most exciting part of it when I was studying computer engineering in school.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I forgot when we got on. So if anyone's got any comments, go ahead and drop them in the comments on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you're listening, and we'll get back to those as well because we're watching those in the windows too. So that's interesting. So you just think about the combination of hardware and software because everything now is a combination of hardware and software. Even the cars we drive, it's the simple things now. The appliances in our home. They've got software in to run the washing machines now and things like that. So it's obviously different, not that complicated in some respects, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the everyday things now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everywhere you look, all these smart devices, it's software and hardware. It's everywhere. So I think that's a good thing to learn, and it makes you a little more versatile, right? You can have a full hardware job, or you can have a full software job. You can go either way there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. So let's fast forward a little bit. So you get your degree and you start working for Lockheed Martin. And you've been at Lockheed Martin a while, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And you got in their leadership development program. I want to talk about that because that's super cool, dude, that you're able to do that. But what drew you into Lockheed Martin?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I was applying for a bunch of internships. This was my or this was my senior year. Kind of, I did a 4.5 year thing. So
Yep. Yep.
senior is a little vague there. But I was applying for internships for the summer, and I was graduating in December. But what happened was Lockheed reached out to me and said, "Hey, we wanted you to come in for a full-time interview." And I said, "Oh, that's perfect. Let me come in for a full-time interview." So basically, I interviewed for my full-time job 8 months before I graduated. But it was more of a misunderstanding. They had my old resume, so they thought I was graduating during the summer,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
actually pushed it back. It was because they took so long to get back to me that my resume was out of date. But anyways, one of the managers liked me enough and decided to hire me. I just had to wait 8 months after I graduated to start working there. So at that point, I didn't have any other offers. I talked to a TA who used to work at Lockheed and say, "Hey, this is what's your thoughts on Lockheed and should I take the offer, things like that." And he had nothing but positive things to say. So that's what I did, and basically had a job offer 8 months before I graduated, and really had true senioritis my final semester in school.
Yeah, no doubt, because you're sitting there with the offer in hand and you're ready to go. And you've been at Lockheed now and just kind of flicking through the years here. It's been
7 years.
7 years. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. So you got selected for a leadership development program. Now that's pretty unique, because they don't just give it out to a ton of engineers in Lockheed, do they?
No, it was definitely a selective process, and I applied about 2 years into the company and I got rejected. So I came back. I'll go into a little more detail about that in one of the stories later. But I came back the next year and got in, and it's you apply, you got to write an application, you got to apply, explain why you're a good candidate. You got to have your manager, you got to have other people write letters of recommendation, and then you go into your interview where they ask you questions on it's more like behavioral, situational questions about your potential leadership skills. So that's where I failed the first time, where I made it to the interview, but I wasn't prepared for it. So I worked on it, and the following year I did get in. So the year I got in, I think there was about like 90 people that applied, and let me see here, was it 25 got an interview, and then 15 got selected. So definitely very, very selective and very competitive.
Yeah, cool. And is that what was part of that then too, you to get your master's in science and engineering, or was that along with you doing your master's in science and engineering?
It was in parallel, but as being part of the program, there were definitely some perks with it. One of the big perks was we got to waive the yearly tuition reimbursement cap. So I was already planning to do my master's, even if I got in or not, because at that point, it was the second time I was applying for the program. And, I got in, I was like, okay, I'm going to accelerate my master's program. I'm going to take more classes. I'm going to take summer classes. Because at that point, the pace I was going was going to be 4 years, and I wouldn't have to pay anything out of pocket because I'll get everything fully reimbursed. If I try to compress it, I lose a year's worth of reimbursement. But since I got into the leadership development program, they waived that requirement. So I was like, okay, I'll graduate in 3 years. And I'm glad I did, because my last year would have been last year during the pandemic. So definitely a good decision there.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I say hello, Amanda, listening to us. Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the support. Cool. So when we're talking about that, you're at Lockheed Martin now. Let's talk about your work there a little bit now, as you're an Obsolescence Project Manager. So kind of explain what that is. What are you really doing there?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's I don't even know how to spell obsolescence sometimes, but it's so I'm a project manager, and then the types of projects I manage are related to parts obsolescence, which relate to supply chain. Basically, what obsolescence means is we have thousands of parts on our product, and we want to make sure we have a constant and consistent supply chain. But sometimes, parts go obsolete. The supplier can't find a certain material anymore, or supplier goes out of business, or for any other reason. So the idea is that we want to have enough of a heads up that, hey, the supplier wants to exit the business, or their even downstream supply chain has issues. So we want to make sure we're on top of that, and then we can plan. We have enough time to plan and identify a replacement part to replace that one, and go through all the testing, all the qualification of it to make sure it meets all the requirements before we run out the current part. So there's always this hard deadline at the end, because
Yeah.
let's say you have 100 parts, you use 10 a month, you're going to be out in 10 months. Like you can't, you can't change that. So those are the types of projects I manage. So it's a lot of it's working with the supplier, identifying the replacement, and once that's identified, making sure that we come up with a good qualification plan, making sure it meets all the requirements, and going through the testing. And this testing it's rigorous, right? Because we work in defense, so you got to make sure you want to make sure it meets all the requirements. And like I said, we have thousands of parts, but we can't build a whole product if we're missing just one part. So what I work on is it's really important, and it's definitely challenging. As I said, with a hard schedule deadline, because of the parts running out.
Yeah, and no doubt, and most people may not think about the critical nature of every single component, right? Because you can't just substitute this little bolt for a different little bolt that goes in the wing of a jet. It just doesn't. You just can't, because that might ruin the jet, in the wrong situations or something like that, or whatever the application is. But that is really something to. I bet you get compressed schedules a lot of times because you're going to run out of parts, and the testing alone, the certification of the new replacement product takes you right up to the end.
Or sometimes it's past it, and then we got to find different strategies. Sometimes we just go to the supplier and say, hey, give us all the material you have. We'll buy all of it. And that pushes out the need date. Or we find ways to accelerate our schedule. We find things where we can say, this part was used by another supplier and it's worked for them. And, we make the argument that it's similar enough that we don't have to go through all the testing. So, most of the time it's, look, ideally you want to have enough heads up, but there's challenges. And that's a couple of my projects where, hey, we're past the deadline, like just right off the bat before even starting. So how are we going to fix that? And then just coming up with strategies to mitigate that. I mean, so far all of my projects are good. We're well off and going. But it's definitely a challenging part when that project starts and you already know your schedule's broken.
Yeah. And when you talk about this, when you talk about lead times and stuff, so if you just had a typical testing cycle on a new component, what's an average if you looked at it? Is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 12 weeks, 25 weeks end to end on getting a new product approved?
I mean, the testing part, it could be anywhere. It's more like 3 to 6 months. But then you're negotiating with the supplier, right? You're saying, hey, supplier, go test this part. So you're working the whole contracts thing. You're working the whole preparation of this is how we're going to test it, getting all their documents approved, getting all the drawings approved. The testing itself, it's 3 to 6 months, but all the preparation before. And once you're done with testing, you got to write the report. You got to get that approved, by the customer as well. So it's a long timeline. So most of these projects are 2 to 3 years long at the minimum.
Oh, that's awesome. 2 to 3 years. And it's interesting in the aerospace and defense, because those lead times are not uncommon. That's real typical. And most people that are in the commercial sector, you'd be looking at something like that. Well, 90 days, they could probably get something that's approved and, with a drawing review and materials review, whatever, and then certified and go. But it is really interesting with aerospace and defense, how that the critical nature, obviously, first of all, but it changes that timeline so much.
Yeah. You can't just, buy a part off the shelf, right? It has to be military grade, it has to be whatever, it has to meet all these different standards. So it's not as easy finding a direct replacement part.
Yeah, well, and that's really something too. Do you ever find where it's a custom part where you're just like, we can't make this again, we're going to have to redesign all the equipment that's in the field?
I would say it's more like we'll do a redesign. So if there's on a certain like subsystem where multiple parts are going obsolete, then we do a redesign where we don't need these parts. Because, like I said, each of these projects, 2 to 3 years, right? And you multiply that by 5, by 10, and then it's a lot of money. Or you can just do a redesign. Yes, it costs a lot of money for a single project, but at least you get rid of that. You find parts that will have a long-term supply chain. Yeah,
that's cool. That's really cool. I mean, the project management involved in that over a 2-year project, I mean, is just managing all the pieces and making sure they come together at the right times is quite a feat of project management. I mean, it's like building a building kind of project management from the ground up. So that's cool. Well, what do you like most about what you do?
I think just overall at Lockheed, just knowing what I do makes a difference in the world. Just with the products I work on, I'm protecting our American citizens. I'm protecting the soldiers overseas who are defending this country as well. So just
Yeah,
basically just the mission of what I get to do, and just knowing that like I said, what I do really makes a difference in the world. Right? It's not like
yeah.
I'm designing an app or something like that. It's actual like physical product where our soldiers get to use to defend our country.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool, man. And I wanted to spend a little time talking about your career and your engineering work that you do because it is helping our country defend ourselves and the people that are protecting us. And I think that's super cool as well. But I wanted to build that up because you were talking about introverts finding their voice, and you and I sitting here today, people will go, well, he doesn't sound like he's an introvert, but you had to break through and come out of this, and really you've done over 150 videos on LinkedIn. So kind of just step back a ways and go, what really got you of the mindset where, hey, I want to break out of this, and this might be a way to do it?
Yeah, so I'll go back to what I shared earlier when I applied to that leadership development program, and then made it to the interview. I wasn't
Yeah,
selected,
yeah,
and I asked the program manager. Asked the program manager for feedback, and he said, "You need more leadership experience," which I thought was ironic because I mean, this is why I'm applying for the leadership development program. You also need more project management experience. So for the project management experience, I decided to go get my master's in engineering management. So that checked that box. So for the leadership part, I was thinking, well, how can I get leadership experience, right? I'm in a team here where everyone has 20 years of experience. I can't just come in and become, the lead on a project. So I decided that, okay, I'm going to go join an organization at work. We have all these different employee resource groups that focus on the different minority groups that we have. And I said, okay, I'll join the PAN, or the Professional Asian American Network. I joined that group, and I was the site mentoring and professional development chair. That started help get me out of my shell. Prior to that, I was not part of any clubs or organizations when I was in
mm-hmm.
school, which I really, really regret.
Yeah,
But being part of this organization, I'm coordinating all these different events. I'm coordinating speaking events. I'm coordinating speed mentoring events. And as part of these events, I have to be on stage, introduce the speaker, or facilitate the event. So it definitely didn't come overnight, but just being, I guess, each time just going up there, coordinating each event, just getting a little more comfortable in those situations, getting more comfortable with public speaking really, really helped. A year later, I became the site co-chair. So now I'm the face of the organization.
yeah,
Everyone gets my emails on a weekly basis. People know me because I'm part of this organization. And then now I'm running monthly meetings. I'm doing all these different other things. So it really, really helped overall with that. But another thing, which you touched on, the videos, that really helped as well. In 2018, I decided to do a 52-week challenge of doing a video every single week on LinkedIn where I will share some piece of career tip or advice. My first video was absolutely crap. I can joke about it now, but I mean, I was super nervous. I couldn't even look at the camera. I was doing a selfie style with my phone. I couldn't even look at the camera. I just kept stuttering. My voice was quiet, and I just didn't sound confident at all. So. But I mean, I always like to bring up that first video and share it on LinkedIn every once in a while, just to show people, hey, this is how I used to be, and this is
mm-hmm.
just weekly, every single week, just putting out a video. The progress, yeah, you see progress over time. It didn't come overnight,
Yeah,
and just getting more comfortable with putting myself out there, just that weekly practice, watching my own videos, just noticing my tendencies, fixing those over time, in combination with being part of this organization, really help me break out of that kind of introvert shell. Not saying I'm a full extrovert, but being more comfortable in general with public speaking, with just having confidence, and having that confidence and just being able to talk to anyone at any time really helps in a variety of different situations.
yeah, yeah. I think you're right. You were forced into being more on stage in the public eye and getting comfortable with it, and that helped then. And the videos, like you said, as you do videos, you look at the first one, and I think unilaterally says this. The first one, they go, "Oh man, that was horrible," and they don't realize that, everyone's like that. The first video, it was the first few times, it's going to be harder, and it's going to get a little easier and a little easier. So what are you doing in your videos on LinkedIn? I'd like you to, I understand, but if you could explain a little bit of your 52-week challenge you're doing about job, what were you doing in your 52-week challenge more specifically?
Yeah, so in 2018, I did the 52-week challenge where I actually have a list of things to talk about because I went through all my notes from all the presentations and seminars and mentors that I had, and I just put together a list because that's kind of how I do it. I just like, I need 52 things to talk about. I better have a list ready, and I just pulled one item from each of those, which is kind of like best pieces of advice. I think one that the first video I had was a networking tip that before you approach someone at a networking event, you think in your head that I really like you, and that just kind of says, hey, I'm excited to talk to this person. I want to get to know this person, and that just changes your demeanor, changes your body, just kind of not your appearance, but like just kind of how you look, and it just brings you some confidence. So when you go talk to them, you sound more confident. You sound more willing to talk to them. So that's one of the tips there. I just shared just tips in general related to career and professional development. Time management, resumes, interviews, just a long list of things there.
Nice.
2019, I had a lot of fun with the 52-week challenge. I decided to do it all over again. But that time, I ran out of things to talk about because I ran through my whole list. But I started sharing sharing things that were more personal to me. I started my new job as a project manager. So I did a video about what I do at a new job. And I talked about things I've learned as a project manager. I'm also still doing grad school at the same time. So I talked a lot about dealing with time, dealing with stress, and then how to be better at time management. So I shared a lot of stuff that was more personal, that was related to me directly. And that really resonated with the LinkedIn audience because people want to know who you are. People just, we're all human. We all have emotions. We all have feelings. So it's just good to hear from someone that's sharing their feelings and emotions. So, and fast forward to 2020, experimented with different types of videos. I did some cooking videos in the beginning of the year. I did some 10-second tip videos, and I just started posting a lot more. Instead of just doing only videos, I realized that text posts are literally just scripts for my videos. So I was always against writing text posts because I'm an engineer. I hate writing. But once I realized that it's literally just a script, I just post it, and they get a lot more engagement than my videos. So that's what I started doing. And then this year, I decided to start a new 52-week challenge, but I'm doing a LinkedIn live stream every single Friday, every single week this year. So I have number 16 coming up, I believe, tomorrow. And it just really helps, again, just continue to get better at public speaking and confidence. With the videos, you can record it, you can edit it, and you can just adjust and do whatever you want to it. But with the live stream, it's more of a conversation, and it's unedited. It's live, so there's a whole dynamic behind that as well. But I've been really, really enjoying it so far.
Yes, I do like the live stream format. I'm not much of a prepare a script and do those kind of things because I look at some of the great interviewers that we see, a Larry King, you even go back to a Johnny Carson, and you look at some of these people that had interviewed or David Letterman, thousands and thousands of people, or Jimmy Kimmel, even anybody that you want to think about that has interviewed a lot of people, and you watch them and understand it. What I've really learned is that there is an art to it. There is, or skills like in engineering, there's skills that in project management, you develop skills in project management that makes it easier over time. There's the same thing in interviewing. And I hadn't thought about it that way before. And you go out and you can study these people. And if you do that, as it's really pretty remarkable how you can go, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to pick up that little trait right there, or that little tip right there, and use that and make your interviews and lives a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree there. I've learned quite a bit just through my LinkedIn lives. Every single guest is different. Every single guest has a different personality. So it's just being able to adjust. You can't just be rapid fired all the time, or you can't just be direct all the time. You just have to be able to adjust to to your guests, and then just because some people like to talk a lot, some people are sort of like short answers, so just being able to adjust and ask the right questions to get kind of a more detailed answer.
Yes, yes, for sure. Well, we got Valerie. She says, I don't think we were promoting that we need to break out. Introverts need to break out. I think it's just sometimes people feel it feels is what they want to do. And really in a lot of respects, you may not have broken out of your shell. You just get more comfortable with doing what you have to do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Valerie, it's I still classify myself as an introvert. I'm not the loudest person in the room at a networking event. Right? I get tired at networking events as well. So kind of the point I'm trying to make is, you don't have to be completely shy. You don't have to be completely quiet. It's okay to get a little uncomfortable, to break out of your shell, to post videos, to get more confidence in public speaking. So just look for opportunities to do that, and that's going to help you in your career, right? Because you're going to have to present at some point in your career. You're going to, especially for myself as a project manager, I have to have confidence when I speak. I can't say, oh, well, I'm not sure if we'll finish by the end of this week. No, I have to know one way or the other if we're not, and be confident in my answer. And I'm presenting to program management. I'm presenting to the customer. I can't show any uncertainty with that because that shows that I don't know what I'm doing. So I think just by putting yourself in situations, getting more comfortable with public speaking, and building up your confidence really helps you in your career.
Yeah, I think so. And Valerie even says that she's an extreme introvert who loves public speaking. And I think that's as well. You said one thing in there that I think as introverts, and I am one, and I do a lot of video, and people would think I'm not, but you said one thing that happens to me. If I go to a networking event, I get tired. It drains my energy because I'm naturally not an extrovert, but I know what we need to do when we're in those situations, but it's not a natural reaction for me. So I don't know if it's my mind that does it, but just like you said, it just rung so true with me because I'll walk out of a networking event and I am exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see people that are extroverts. My wife is an extrovert, and she will go and they get more energy. They don't want to leave because it's just like, this is building me up. And so true. So true. So this is awesome. So you're teaching people the videos, the tips. How did your cooking videos go? Because I remember now when you said something about the cooking videos, that's cool because I think we met about the time you were doing cooking videos. Yeah,
I just decided to do something new. I shot all the videos on my phone. I edited them all on my phone with with the apps I had. Yeah, just to do something different, right? Because LinkedIn, yes, it's professional, but you don't have to talk about work. You don't have to talk about career stuff all the time. So just wanted to try something a little different. I think, like I said, I made 4 different videos. One of them was, let me think here. Oh, it's been a while. Basically one was like my steak recipe. Another one was making miso salmon. Just, nice. Random things there. So it's just something I want to go back and do. It just takes a little more coordination because, you got to move around the kitchen. You got to have a camera, at least a camera person with you to help you with that. So a little more coordination, but what I will be doing actually for work as part of the Asian organization I'm in, next month is Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. Nice. It's part of the lineup of a variety of events that we have next month. We're actually going to do live cooking classes. So I've volunteered myself to do one. So I'll be doing that sometime next month. So I'll be shared internally, but maybe it'll get me back into doing cooking videos on LinkedIn. I might do a practice one on LinkedIn Live and that'll be like, the one I have to do for work. That'd be cool. Because I've thought about that. I do this, and I've thought about some other just fun kind of things that we could do on live that would be interesting for people, as you said, to get to know more about you, more about the person behind what's going on in the video, and do those things because it is about sharing more about yourself and your life and what you like to do. So another thing that you're doing along with these videos, people started asking you some questions and started asking you about career stuff. So that kind of, were you expecting that? Were you thinking that was going to happen, or did it just kind of happen organically? Yeah, that came out of the pandemic, right? So, a year ago at this point, everyone's saying, hey, you better come out of the pandemic better than you went in. And we all thought it was going to be a few months thing. So I decided that, well, I've been informally coaching people with my weekly videos on LinkedIn. I might as well make it more formal. So I rebranded myself on LinkedIn as a career coach and set up a whole Calendly and Zoom and all that stuff so I can have coaching calls with people. And so that's how it started. With that rebranding, yes, I'm still a project manager as my full-time job. But with the coaching, I do that on the side, do that outside of work hours. I do that on weekends. And so it's just kind of a culmination of everything I did over the past 3 years at that point, with all the videos, with all the tips I've shared, especially with not just the resume and interview prep stuff, but just how to create content on LinkedIn, how to get more confident with public speaking, how to make videos as well. So just sharing all that with anyone who's willing to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is. And a lot of people struggle to take that first step. And if you're helping them get that first step and get down the road, then oftentimes it's like with video. Once you do a few, it gets a little better and you start to find other people that are helping you. So what do you enjoy most about that?
Yeah, just helping people. What I tell a lot of my clients is, hey, I used to be where you were. I used to be a college student, right? Or I used to be completely scared of posting videos on LinkedIn because I'm afraid of either I have nothing to say that people care about, or I'm afraid of people judging me on how I look or how I sound. Whatever thoughts you have in your head right now, I've been there before. So I think that really just sort of seeing like people who are, early on in their careers that, by helping them, they're going to be ahead of where they are than I was at their age, right? And just seeing, what they can do, in the future or later on in their career. So, I think what my journey resonates with a lot of people, just, going from being a shy introvert to getting comfortable with public speaking, doing these weekly LinkedIn lives. That story resonates with a lot of people. So I see myself in a lot of the people I coach as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is. I grin when you say that, because it really is about just being comfortable with yourself. And you said that, are they going to think I look funny and they're not interested in the topic? And, once you get going and you start doing it and you understand and you get to enjoy like our interactions and just enjoy the people that you're talking with, really, if the rest of the world likes it, great. You will find some people that will and some people that won't, but it's more about making the connection with the people that you're talking with or the things that you're doing, like you said, in the cooking or whatever you're trying to help people with. So that's cool. Well, I was looking at a couple other notes that I had here. So now this has got to be kind of cool. So how many people are in the PAN organization in Lockheed Martin? Because people don't understand in a corporation like that, when you have the sub clubs or whatever you want to call them, the associations in there, how many people are in that in Lockheed Martin?
Yeah, so we have, let's see here. We have 5 different business areas. I used to be the chair for one of the business areas. I stepped down last year to open up the spot for someone who wanted to be in a position. But I can say, at least for the business area I'm in, we have about 1,600 people in our distribution list.
Yeah.
Right? And you can multiply, maybe you can multiply that across 4 or 5, but there's a lot of different people. Recently we had an event across the corporation about the violence against Asians and the hate and stuff going on, and how people can help. And we had a call where anyone can join, right? You can be an ally, you can be Asian, whatever. And I joined that. It was, when I looked, there was at least 350 people on that call. And this was like this was an after work thing, right? This is not during the work day. So it was good to see all that support as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I tell you what, that I will take a second to talk about that. And that's just absolutely ridiculous what's going on. I just can't, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I never thought that I would see that kind of junk. And I'm just going to say that's where I'm going to stop, because I get angry pretty fast about those things. But it's good to see that there's a lot of people participating, a lot of people come to the conversation around it. I do think I like that. So it's awesome, man. It's so great to get to talk to you, because I want people to understand that you don't have to be that lively, bubbly person that just is the, like you said, the loudest, craziest one in the room or whatever. You can do video, you can do public speaking. It just really takes developing a skill like any other.
Yep, exactly. It's, like I said, I like bring up that first video because that shows how far I've come. So we all have to start somewhere. Yes, you can be super nervous right now. You can lack all the confidence, possibly. And I used to be there, right? I was there back in 2018 when I started my 52-week challenge. So we all have to start somewhere, right? Don't compare yourself to anyone else, and just put the first video out there, put the first post out there. And once you put that out there, you get a big weight kind of lifted off your shoulders because you just posted something, and every single post after that just gets so much easier.
Yeah, you're right. There's Bonnie Strominger is a friend of mine on LinkedIn, and she does a lot of TikTok videos around her GoLids product. And she talks about when she started doing video and they would put the first one out, and theirs are more product-based videos, but like just bombed. No, nobody watching. And she's got, I don't know, 20 million views on TikTok and other places like that, are 25 million. It goes up like crazy now, but it is that just keep putting it out, keep refining your skill, get a little better, take some, constructive criticism if that's what you want, and just keep doing it, because you just start doing it and it'll get more natural and it'll get better for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely gets easier.
Good stuff. Well, Stephen, it's been wonderful having you on the Faces of Business. I can't tell you, I'm so happy that we got this opportunity to talk a little bit. And if people want to talk to you or get a hold of you about the career coaching, talking about public speaking, or just anything, where's the best place for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah, just connect with me on LinkedIn. I respond to every connection request. I respond to every message I get on LinkedIn. So that's the best way to keep in touch with me. I don't know if I can drop it in here. But send me a message, and if you have any questions, concerns, anything you need help with, just send me a message, and we'll get on a 15-minute call, kind of figure out what your needs are, and we'll take it from there.
Very good. Very good. We'll do that. And Valerie had another comment here real quick before we jump off. She says, LinkedIn makes networking so easy for introverts. She's right. And in-person networking, not so much. It is tougher, especially in some of the larger networking events you do. But thanks, Valerie, for listening. Thanks, Amanda, for the comments in here. Thanks, Stephen, for being here today. And you know what? We're going to be back here again next week with some more wonderful guests on the Faces of Business on Tuesday at about 3:05 every time we do it, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And yes, I should have by now, after about 60 of these things, I should know who my guest is next week, but I don't. But I'm sure they will be interesting, and we will have a lot of fun doing it. So thanks, Stephen, for being here. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome, Damon.